I would also like to express my sorrow at the distressing news of the death of an individual on the Baby Stockholm home earlier today. My prayers are with the family and friends. Presiding Officer, Scotland should be a welcoming and safe place for asylum seekers. In the past few years, the UK Tory government have created a hostile environment for those coming to the UK seeking asylum. As my colleague Paul O'Kane noted, the UK government is, as we speak, debating its inhuman act which sought to ship those seeking asylum in the UK off to a third country. Then we have the Illegal Migration Act, which may force many vulnerable asylum seekers into the hands of human traffickers and criminal gangs. This comes in hand with the newly announced salary threshold for skilled workers' visas, as Alex Cole-Hamilton, John Sweeney, and others rightly condemned. As Fulton McGregor began, the UK government's hostile legislative action has led to the UK being painted as a country that does not welcome those who need our help the very most. I've got a lot to go through. That is why the Scottish Labour support the conclusion of the Equalities, Human Rights and Civil Justice Committee's inquiry. The committee's inquiry sent a strong message that we should be using powers within devolved competence to improve the lives of asylum seekers in Scotland. Integration is important for this. As Cockop Stewart said, the Scottish Government must use its devolved powers to ensure asylum seekers are able to integrate fully into Scottish society. And I look forward to the Scottish Government's plan on how asylum seekers can be included in concessionary travel plans, what my colleague Paul Sweeney has been working on. The Illegal Migration Act can amend the powers and duties of Scottish ministers to help victims of human trafficking under the Human Trafficking and Exploitation Act 2015. Miles Briggs earlier commented that asylum seekers are amongst the most vulnerable to human trafficking and exploitation. In October this year, I hosted a roundtable on the impact that the Illegal Migration Act may have on human trafficking and how it would interact with the Human Trafficking and Exploitation Act 2015. We heard from representatives from the Scottish Refugee Council, Just Right Scotland, Maryhill Integration Network, and many more about just how this act has made life harder for survivors of human trafficking and modern slavery. Under this act, survivors of trafficking who have received an initial reasonable ground decision can be removed. Unaccompanied children arriving into Scotland can be subjected to mandatory scientific age testing, including MRI scanning, to try and determine their age. If they refuse, they will be processed as an adult. The committee's investigation makes clear that the Scottish Government can act within their devolved power to mitigate this impact of the cruel Illegal Migration Act. So it must. We need to concentrate action on this to protect victims of human trafficking and uphold, wherever possible, the right to seek asylum in Scotland. Finally, Presiding Officer, the latest Home Office data showed that there were 662 asylum seekers housed in hotels across 10 Scottish local authorities. In addition, there were 4,558 asylum seekers living in disparate accommodation. Let's not forget the Ukrainian refugees hosted on temporary boats because suitable accommodation could not be found for them. These are not solutions. We are currently facing a housing crisis. The Scottish Refugee Council have warned that Home Office policies, such as giving people just 7 days to leave asylum accommodation, mean that it could be a matter of time before someone dies on the streets due to lack of housing. Let's be clear. This is not the fault of asylum seeker. It is caused by a housing system that is not fit for purpose. The Scottish Government must provide a long-term housing plan. It must act on the conclusion of this inquiry to mitigate the damage of these inhuman Tory policies and ensure asylum seekers are protected and welcomed in Scotland. Thank you, Presiding Officer.